The rain pelted down mercilessly on Maya Chen's hunched shoulders as she clutched a stack of flyers against her chest, desperately trying to shield them from the downpour. Each one represented a potential client, a chance to pay next month's rent. At 26, this wasn't where she had imagined herself standing on a street corner in the financial district, soaked to the bone, hoping someone would give her small graphic design business a chance. Just 3 more blocks, she whispered to herself, squinting through rain-splattered glasses at the towering skyscrapers that seemed to mock her smallness. The contrast couldn't be more stark. Men and women in tailored suits rushing past with sleek umbrellas, while Maya stood in her thrift store coat, its waterproofing long since worn away. A gust of wind caught one of her flyers, sending it spiraling from her grasp. Maya lunged forward, nearly slipping on the wet sidewalk. No! The word escaped her lips as she watched the flyer dance away, hours of work, design, and precious printing money vanishing with it. That's when the sleek black limousine pulled up to the curb beside her, the tinted window lowered just enough for the driver to toss a cigarette, but onto the street. Maya frowned at the littering, but then saw her opportunity. As the window began to rise again, she darted forward and slipped one of her colorful flyers through the narrowing gap. "Sorry," she called out, not entirely apologetic, "but maybe you know someone who needs affordable graphic design." The window completed its ascent, and the limousine pulled away, leaving Maya wondering if she'd just wasted a flyer or made the boldest marketing move of her career. Little did she know that inside that limousine sat Ethan Blackwood, CEO of Blackwood Enterprises, one of the city's most powerful technology conglomerates, who was about to pick up that soggy piece of paper and unwittingly change both their lives forever. Maya's one-bedroom apartment doubled as her studio, a small desk wedged into the corner of her living room, supported her computer, a second-hand model powerful enough to run her design software, but prone to crashing at the worst possible moments. The walls were covered with her designs, each one representing countless hours of work and passion. She peeled off her wet clothes and changed into dry ones, then heated water for ramen, her 3rd night in a row of the same meal. As she waited, she checked her phone. No new emails, no new clients. The day's flyer distribution had yielded nothing immediate. "Come on, universe," she murmured, stirring the noodles with a fork. "Throw me a bone here." Maya had graduated top of her class from the State University with a degree in graphic design, but in a saturated market dominated by established firms, finding steady work had proven nearly impossible. 2 years ago, when her mother fell ill, Maya had abandoned her entry-level position at a marketing firm to care for her. After her mother's passing, medical bills had consumed what little savings they had, leaving Maya to start from scratch. Now she survived on freelance projects, designing logos for small businesses, creating wedding invitations, anything to keep the lights on. Her flyers were a desperate attempt to expand her client base beyond the occasional jobs she found online. Despite everything, Maya refused to give up. Her mother had always told her that persistence was the key to success. "The universe has a way of rewarding those who work hard and stay true to themselves," she would say. Maya clung to those words on her darkest days. Across town, in the penthouse suite of the Blackwood Tower, Ethan Blackwood loosened his tie and poured himself 2 fingers of scotch. At 34, he had achieved what most people only dream of. He had built Blackwood Enterprises from a small tech startup into a billion-dollar company in just under a decade. The view from his floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic vista of the city lights. But tonight, as most nights, he barely noticed their beauty. Success had come a price. Sleepless nights, sacrificed relationships, and a creeping sense of isolation that no amount of money could ease. Ethan sat at his desk, scrolling through emails on his tablet when his hand brushed against something unfamiliar, a folded, slightly damp piece of paper. He picked it up, remembering the young woman who had thrust it through his car window earlier that day. Under normal circumstances, he would have disposed of it immediately, but something, curiosity perhaps, or fate, made him unfold it. The flyer was simple but eye-catching. Bold typography proclaimed Chun Design Studio, professional creativity for every budget. Below was a collage of design samples that, despite their simplicity, displayed remarkable talent. What caught Ethan's attention, however, was the brief personal note at the bottom. "From logos to websites, I believe every dream deserves beautiful design. Maya Chen. It was authentic in a way the slick corporate presentations he reviewed daily were not. He found himself studying the samples more closely, impressed by the creativity and skill evident in each one. Then his eyes fell on the contact information, and he reached for his phone. "James," he said when his assistant answered, "I need you to look into someone for me, a designer named Maya Chen." The next morning dawned gray but dry as Maya trudged to her favorite coffee shop, her one small luxury, a proper cappuccino once a week. She checked her email while waiting in line, deleting the usual spam, when a message with the subject line, "Design Proposal Inquiry," caught her eye. The email was brief and formal, from someone named James Porter, executive assistant at Blackwood Enterprises. It requested a meeting to discuss potential design work, mentioned competitive compensation, and asked for her availability. Maya nearly dropped her phone. Blackwood Enterprises, everyone knew that name. This had to be some kind of mistake, or, worse, an elaborate scam. Still, she couldn't afford to ignore any potential lead. With trembling fingers, she typed a response suggesting a meeting at a public cafe the following afternoon. The reply came almost immediately, confirming the meeting and proposing a significantly earlier time. Maya bit her lip. That would mean canceling her only other appointment of the week, a small logo job for a local food truck. But Blackwood Enterprises, if this was legitimate, it could change everything. She rescheduled the food truck meeting and spent the rest of the day alternating between excitement and anxiety, researching Blackwood Enterprises and refreshing her portfolio. The cafe was busier than Maya had anticipated. She arrived 15 minutes early, dressed in her most professional outfit, black pants, a blue blouse, and a blazer that had belonged to her mother. She claimed a small table in the corner and arranged her portfolio and tablet just so, then checked her appearance one last time in her phone's camera. At precisely 10 a.m., the cafe door opened, and Maya's heart nearly stopped. She recognized him immediately from news articles and magazine covers. Ethan Blackwood himself, not some company representative. He stood over 6 feet tall, with dark hair and the confident posture of someone who had never questioned his place in the world. His tailored suit probably cost more than her rent. Maya stood, nearly knocking over her chair in the process. Their eyes met across the room, and something electric passed between them: recognition, curiosity, interest. For a moment, Ethan seemed frozen in place before he crossed the cafe in long strides. "Miss Chen?" His voice was deep, with a hint of roughness that his polished appearance belied. "Yes, that's me." Maya extended her hand, hoping he wouldn't notice it trembling. "Maya Chen, I was expecting Mr. Porter. James works for me." Ethan's handshake was firm, but not overbearing. "I prefer to handle creative decisions personally. Hope you don't mind the substitution." As they sat down, Maya noticed him studying her face with unusual intensity. There was something in his expression she couldn't quite decipher, not quite professional interest, but something more personal. "So," she began, trying to sound confident, "your email mentioned design project?" Ethan seemed to catch himself staring, and cleared his throat. "Yes, we're launching a new initiative focused on supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs. We need an entire visual identity logo, website, marketing materials, the works." He paused and added, "I came across your flyer yesterday. Your work caught my attention." Maya's mind raced. "A flyer? Which one?" She distributed hundreds across the city in recent weeks. "If you don't mind my asking, where did you see it?" she asked. A small smile played at the corner of his mouth. "You put it through my car window. In the rain." Maya felt heat rush to her face as realization dawned. "The limousine? That was you? I'm so sorry for the intrusion. I just—" "Don't apologize," Ethan interrupted, his smile growing. It was memorable and effective, apparently. There was something in the way he looked at her, as if he was seeing something beyond her rain-soaked appearance from yesterday or her carefully composed professionalism today. It made her heart beat faster. "Well," Maya said, regaining her composure, "I believe in taking opportunities where I find them." "So do I," Ethan replied, holding her gaze a beat longer than strictly necessary. The meeting stretched from the planned 30 minutes to nearly 2 hours. What began as a discussion about design specifications evolved into a wide-ranging conversation about color psychology, the importance of authenticity in branding, and even their personal philosophies about business. Maya found herself forgetting who she was talking to, not Ethan Blackwood, the billionaire CEO, but simply Ethan, a passionate entrepreneur with incisive questions and unexpected depth. For his part, Ethan seemed genuinely interested in her ideas, challenging them not to dismiss, but to explore. Most corporate design feels soulless to me, Maya admitted, surprising herself with her candor, like it was created by algorithm rather than human hands. Instead of taking offense, Ethan nodded. That's exactly what I want to avoid with this project. That's why I'm not using our regular agency. He hesitated, then added, that's why I think you might be perfect for this. The word perfect hung in the air between them, carrying weight beyond professional context. By the end of their meeting, Maya had agreed to create preliminary designs for a substantial fee more money than she'd made in the past 3 months combined. As they stood to leave, Ethan handed her his personal business card. Call me directly with any questions, he said, his fingers brushing against hers as he passed the card. I'm looking forward to seeing what you create. Maya watched him leave, her mind reeling from the encounter. Only after he'd gone did she realize she hadn't asked why the CEO of a billion-dollar company was personally handling a relatively minor design project. Over the next few weeks, Maya threw herself into the Blackwood project with an intensity that surprised even her. She worked late into the night, scrapping and restarting designs until they matched the vision forming in her mind, something that captured both the corporate strength of Blackwood Enterprises and this new, more human initiative. Ethan had been clear about the deliverables, but remarkably open about the creative direction. I trust your instincts, he'd said during one of their frequent phone calls to discuss progress. These calls often strayed from strictly business matters, with Ethan asking about her process or sharing stories about his company's early days. Maya found herself looking forward to these conversations more than she cared to admit. There was something about Ethan's voice, the way he listened to her as if what she had to say actually mattered, that made her feel valued in a way professional recognition alone couldn't match. One evening, after a particularly long call discussing the psychology of color in corporate branding, Ethan paused before saying goodbye. Maya, there was hesitation in his voice she hadn't heard before. Yes. I was wondering if you'd like to present your final concepts in person. Over dinner, perhaps? The question hung between them, its implications clear. This wasn't just about business anymore. Maya should have said no. Mixing professional and personal relationships was risky in the best of circumstances, let alone with a client of Ethan's stature. But before her practical side could intervene, she heard herself accept. I'd like that, she said softly. The smile was evident in his voice when he replied. So would I. The restaurant Ethan chose was elegant without being ostentatious, a small, exclusive place where the staff greeted him by name, but otherwise gave him privacy. Maya wore the one cocktail dress she owned, a simple black number that had been waiting in her closet for an occasion worthy of it. When Ethan saw her, something shifted in his expression, a softening around the eyes, a catch of breath that sent warmth spreading through her chest. You look beautiful, he said simply, and Maya believed him. Over dinner, they reviewed her designs, Ethan praising her creativity and insight. But as the evening progressed, work talk gave way to more personal conversations. Maya found herself sharing stories about her mother, her struggles after college, her dreams of someday having her own design studio with employees rather than just freelancing solo. Ethan listened intently, asking questions that showed he was genuinely interested. In turn, he opened up about the loneliness of success, the pressure maintaining the empire he'd built, and his growing dissatisfaction with the corporate world values. Sometimes I wonder if I've lost sight of why I started the company in the first place, he admitted, swirling the wine in his glass. It was never about the money for me. I wanted to create something meaningful. Is that why you're launching this small business initiative? Maya asked. Ethan's eyes met hers. Partly. But I think I was already looking for something different. Something real. The way he looked at her made it clear he wasn't just talking about business anymore. As they walked out of the restaurant, a light rain began to fall, not the torrential downpour of their first meeting, but a gentle mist that caught the streetlights. Without thinking, Maya tilted her face upward, enjoying the cool sensation against her skin. When she looked back at Ethan, he was watching her with an expression that made her breath catch. "What?" she asked. "Just thinking about how glad I am that you put that flyer in my car," he said, stepping closer. The kiss, when it came, felt both surprising and inevitable gentle at first, then deepening as Maya responded. His hand cradled her face with unexpected tenderness, and in that moment, the differences between them, wealth, background, status, seemed to dissolve into insignificance. The following weeks passed in a blur of work and stolen moments together. Ethan formally hired Maya's design studio for not only the initial project, but also a complete rebranding of Blackwood Enterprises' corporate materials. The income transformed Maya's financial situation overnight, allowing her to upgrade her equipment, and even consider taking on an assistant. Meanwhile, their personal relationship blossomed. Ethan introduced Maya to his world of charity galas and executive dinners, while she showed him hole-in-the-wall restaurants and art galleries he would never have discovered on his own. Despite their differences, they found common ground in their passion for creativity, their work ethic, and their desire for authenticity in a world often lacking it. Yet beneath the surface, Maya harbored growing doubts. She noticed the sideways glances from Ethan's colleagues, the whispered comments about her background, the assumptions that she was using him for his money or connections. Worse were the implications that her sudden professional success came not from talent, but from her relationship with Ethan. "Don't let them get to you," Ethan told her when she mentioned these concerns. "They don't understand what we have." But the doubt had taken root, and Maya couldn't help wondering if their relationship could survive the scrutiny and pressure of Ethan's world. She began to question whether she was being naive, whether the fairy tale of the poor designer and the billionaire CEO could possibly have a happy ending. The breaking point came during a corporate function where Maya overheard two executives discussing her. "She's clever, I'll give her that," one said, slipped a flyer into his car, and now she's got her hooks into both him and the company budget. "Wonder how long before he realizes she's just using him to build her portfolio," the other replied with a smirk. Maya had walked away, sick to her stomach, but the words festered. That night, she picked a fight with Ethan over something trivial, which escalated into their first real argument. "Maybe this was a mistake," she said finally, voice trembling. "Maybe we're fooling ourselves thinking this could work." "What are you talking about?" Ethan demanded, bewildered by her sudden shift. "Us. This." Maya gestured between them. A CEO and a struggling designer who met because she was desperate enough to ambush his car with advertising? "It's absurd, Ethan. Like something out of a bad movie. Is that all this is to you? Some kind of cliche." His voice had grown dangerously quiet. "No, but maybe that's all it is to everyone else. And maybe they're right." She took a deep breath. "Your world and mine, they don't mix. And I can't keep wondering if every professional opportunity one gets is because of my work or because of this. So you're just giving up? Walking away when things get difficult?" "I'm being realistic," Maya countered. "Something you might not understand from your position of privilege." The moment the words left her mouth, she regretted them. Ethan's expression hardened. "I see. Well, thank you for that insight into my character." He reached for his coat. "I should go." "Ethan, no, you're right. This was clearly a mistake." The door closed behind him with a quiet click that somehow hurt more than if he had slammed it. The week that followed was the longest of Maya's life. She threw herself into work, completing the Blackwood projects with professional detachment. When she submitted the final files via email rather than in person, James Porter, not Ethan, responded with formal thanks and confirmation of payment. It was over. Whatever magic had sparked between them had been extinguished by reality. Maya should have felt vindicated. Instead, she felt hollow, as if in protecting herself from potential heartbreak, she had caused the very pain she feared. On Friday evening, as rain once again pelted against her windows, Maya sat surrounded by takeout containers, staring at her computer screen without seeing it. The ping of an incoming email barely registered until she noticed the sender, Ethan Blackwood, personal account. Her heart racing, she opened it. Maya, asterisk, I've spent the past week thinking about what you said, about our worlds not mixing, about privilege and perspective. You were right about one thing. I don't fully understand your struggles. I can't, but I want to try. Asterisk. Asterisk, what I do understand is that meeting you changed something in me. Before that rainy day when your flyer landed in my car, I was going through the motions of success without really living. You reminded me what passion looks like, what it means to create something meaningful. Asterisk. Asterisk, if you're willing, I'd like to talk. Not about getting back together or pretending our differences don't exist, but about finding a way forward that honors both who you are and who I am. Asterisk. Asterisk, there's a small park near your apartment. I'll be there tomorrow at noon, rain or shine. Asterisk. Either way, I want you to know that working with you has been a highlight of my career, and knowing you has been the best part of my year. Ethan. Maya read the email 3 times, tears blurring her vision. Then she looked out the window at the rain and began to laugh, a soft, watery sound that released some of the tension she'd been carrying. The next day dawned clear and crisp. Maya arrived at the park 15 minutes early, her stomach in knots. She sat on a bench near the entrance, watching parents with children, couples walking hand in hand, dogs chasing squirrels, ordinary people living ordinary lives. At exactly noon, a familiar figure appeared on the path. Ethan wasn't wearing one of his usual tailored suits, but instead jeans and a simple button-down shirt. He looked younger, more approachable, and impossibly dear to her. He sat beside her, leaving a careful distance between them. "Thank you for coming," he said. "Thank you for writing." Maya took a deep breath. "I'm sorry for what I said, about privilege and—" "No," Ethan interrupted gently. "You were right to call me out. I haven't had to fight for recognition the way you have. I started with advantages you didn't have. That doesn't make your success any less earned," Maya said. "Maybe not, but it does mean I need to listen more." He turned to face her fully. "I've been thinking about what you said about our worlds, about how they don't mix." Maya's heart sank. "Ethan, let me finish, please." He reached for her hand, and after a moment's hesitation, she let him take it. "You're right that we come from different places, but I think we're heading in the same direction." From his pocket, he pulled a folded piece of paper, her original flyer, worn at the creases from repeated handling. This caught my attention because it was different from anything in my world. It had heart, soul, the qualities I've been trying to bring back to my company. He smoothed it out carefully. "Then I met you, and I realized what I was really looking for wasn't just in your designs. It was in your approach to life, your integrity, your determination, your unwillingness to compromise who you are." Maya felt tears threatening again and blinked them back. "I don't want to change who you are," Ethan continued. "I don't want to pull you into my world, if it means losing what makes you special. What I want, what I'm proposing, is that we build something new together." "What do you mean?" "A partnership, professional and personal, if you're willing. I want to establish a foundation supporting emerging artists and designers, providing grants, mentorship, resources. Not charity, but investment in talent that might otherwise go undiscovered." His eyes held hers. "I want you to help me design it, run it, shape it into something that matters." "You're serious?" Maya whispered. "Completely. It would be your vision as much as mine. Equal partners." He squeezed her hand. "What do you say?" Instead of answering immediately, Maya asked, "Why me?" "Really?" Ethan's expression softened. "Because from the moment I saw you standing in the rain, determined to make your dreams happen against all odds, I knew you were someone special. And when I read your note about how every dream deserves beautiful design, I realized you weren't just talking about logos or websites. You were talking about life." He leaned closer. "I fell for you that first day, Maya. Not just for your talent or your beauty, but for your spirit. That's why it hurt so much when you pushed me away, because I knew what we'd found was rare." Maya looked down at their joined hands, then back up at his face, open, vulnerable, hopeful. In that moment, she made her choice. "Partners," she said, "in every sense of the word." His smile was like sunshine breaking through clouds. "Does that mean—" Instead of answering with words, Maya closed the distance between them. meeting his lips with hers. The kiss held all the promise of new beginnings of two people from different worlds creating a shared future. The gallery space hummed with conversation as artists, designers, and potential donors mingled among displays of work from the first cohort of Blackwood Foundation grant recipients. At the center was an enlarged reproduction of a rain-spotted flyer of the Foundation's origin story, now a central part of its mythology. Maya moved through the crowd in a designer dress that finally felt like her own skin, stop and answer questions, and introduce talented creators to potential clients. Across the room, Ethan did the same, occasionally catching her eye with a private smile that still made her heart skip. They met in the middle, under the soft gallery lights. "Successful night," Ethan murmured, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Beyond my wildest dreams," Maya agreed, looking around at what they had built together. "Who would have thought that a desperate act in the rain would lead to this?" "I'm just grateful you chose my limousine," Ethan said, pulling her close. "Best marketing strategy ever." Maya laughed, leaning into his embrace. "I prefer to think of it as fate, or the universe rewarding persistence," he suggested, echoing her mother's words from so long ago. Around them, new artists found recognition, new connections were made, and new possibilities unfolded, all because a girl had the courage to chase her dreams and a man had the wisdom to recognize what truly mattered when it appeared, unexpected and rain-soaked, in his life.